On the CBS Morning News.
Watch it in the morning. Use it all day.
This is CBS.
150 Twin Cities law enforcement officials took 17 alleged Cuban gun and drug smugglers by surprise in a pre-dawn raid this morning.
The last transmissions of Galaxy Flight 203 were released today in Washington, D.C.
And fresh off the assembly line, this all-terrain vehicle may fuel a brighter future for northern Minnesota. The story's coming up on the 6 p.m. report.
Out of sugar. Would you be a dear and get a cup from the neighbors?
Certainly, love. Borrow a cup of crystal sugar?
Always insist on pure, reliable crystal sugar. It's worth going out of your way for.
Did you get the sugar?
Do we have any other neighbors, dear?
I'm in it first. Going for blue.
There's something about winning that makes you feel so good. Part of it is working and planning with others. At your First Bank, we have information to share that can help you win again and again, getting the most out of what you put in. That's what coming in first is all about.
Come on into your First Bank. You're gonna win when you do. Coming in first.
Serving and informing the Twin Cities for 4 decades. This is WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And now, Dave Moore, Pat Miles, Mike Fairbourne, and Ralph Jon Fritz bring you Channel 4's 6 p.m. report.
Good evening, everyone. Just hours before dawn today, especially brief police squads swept into nearly a dozen homes in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Maplewood, and New Brighton.
And by day's light, they had arrested 17 Cubans on cocaine and gun trafficking charges. Authorities are still looking for 5 other Cubans. All 22 came to the United States in the 1980 Mario boat lift. Trish Van Pilsen has the details of today's major arrest.
They came even before daylight, about 150 officers. Federal agents familiar with the Mario Cubans warned that the raid would be dangerous, that the suspects could be armed.
There is an aura of violence that is associated with some of these people, and you have to anticipate the worst.
But the bus went down without incident. Most suspects were caught sleeping. At each arrest location, there was a Spanish-speaking officer. In one case, Minneapolis Police Chief Tony Boza, who was born in Spain. The 4-month investigation began when residents of the Whittier neighborhood in South Minneapolis complained about gun and cocaine trafficking. Police investigators believe the Cubans had taken over the cocaine trade in Minneapolis, importing pounds of the drug every other week. A Spanish-speaking agent made undercover buys. The probe netted 32 guns and an undetermined amount of cocaine. Authorities believe the suspects arrested today were criminals in Cuba, freed by Fidel Castro and sent to the United States. Many bore the tattoos police say marked them as one-time Cuban prisoners.
Certainly, we can't paint the Cuban population of the city in the same brush as we paint these people. The majority of the Cubans, and I believe there are around 1,500 in Minneapolis and St. Paul, are respectable and responsible citizens. Many of them came over on the Mario boat list, too, that are not of this same class. I don't expect, I will be very optimistic, I don't expect we cleaned up all the criminal element out of that group, though.
Authorities believe as many as 200 Cubans may be involved in gun and drug trafficking in the Twin Cities. They had wanted to wait to make cases against all of them, but community pressure to start making arrests became too great. With photographers John Seidlitz and Bill Kemplin, Trish Van Pilsen, WCCO Television News, Minneapolis.
The farm that meant hope for a new life for 12 Hmong refugee families was auctioned off today in Winona. The auction spelled the end of a project that 2 years ago looked like the perfect way for the Hmong to find independence, to farm 1,300 acres near Winona. Neighbors originally objected to the project, but in the end, it was a lack of funds that caused the project to fail. Among other problems, the project sponsor, Church World Services, expected $1 million in donations, which never materialized. The families have moved back to the Twin Cities. Several plan to farm again, but on a smaller scale. Dave?
Another piece of the Galaxy Flight 203 puzzle fell into place today. That was the charter flight that crashed near Reno, Nevada, killing 70 people in January, most of them from Minnesota. The National Transportation Safety Board in Washington released transcripts of the conversation between the pilot and the crew just before the plane went down. Tony Dignieri has been following that story.
Dave, the transcript provides us with a peek inside the cockpit of Galaxy Flight 203. It seems to confirm that vibrations existed from the moment of takeoff and got progressively worse. As the plane lifted off, there was something wrong, a strange noise, a thunking sound. At that point on the tape, the pilot said to the engineer, "What is it?" The engineer, "I don't know. I don't know, Al." There was another thunking sound, but this one may have been the wheels going up. But the vibration increased, and the pilot said, "Tell him we need to make a left downwind to get out of here, get it back on the ground." They went to full power. The engineer reported, "RPMs look stable, horsepower is good." But the plane was losing speed and altitude. The pilot said, "We need more power." The plane wasn't responding, and it was dropping. Then the ground warning alarm went off, a mechanical voice saying, "Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up." As the plane was going down, the engineer said, "God, God." The pilot still calling for max power. The next sound on the tape was the sound of impact. Flight 203 was in the air only 70 seconds. It reached an altitude of only 250 feet and an airspeed of 140 knots or 160 miles per hour. While we know a bit more tonight about what went wrong shortly before the crash, we still don't know what caused it. Investigators have ruled out electrical failure, and during the next few months, they will focus on what caused the plane to vibrate so heavily. Dave?
Thank you, Tony. After a 3.5-month investigation, Union Carbide says its Indian employees are responsible for the chemical leak that killed 2,000 people and injured 200,000 in Bhopal, India last December. Further, the company officials say the corporation is absolved of any responsibility since the Indian employees failed to follow the proper procedures. An attorney with the Minneapolis law firm representing the government of India against Union Carbide says he's not surprised the corporation is trying to shift the blame because, as I said, that's a common defense. The firm says it will continue to litigate. Debbie?
An elderly St. Paul woman died of smoke inhalation after a fire broke out in her home this afternoon. The fire was reported about 2:30. St. Paul firefighters had the blaze under control within 10 minutes. 60-year-old Mabel Buteau, who used a walker, apparently died trying to get outdoors. Investigators are working on damage estimates and the cause of the fire. The state vows to spend millions of dollars to clean up a mistake made years ago. That story when we come back.
At Menards, we're turning on the savings for you. Our lighting gallery features a stunning selection of lights on sale now. Menards has dazzling ideas for every room, including track lighting for special effects. Elegant double slag fixtures are on sale, too. Or save on a classic chandelier in modern or traditional styling. This brass and amber beauty is on sale now for just $18.88. Add some sparkle to your home with lighting from Menards. But hurry, the sale ends Saturday.
Save big money at Menards.
You love the all-new Shrine Circus because there's so much there to enjoy. Sensational aerialists, world-renowned acrobats, juggling and balancing acts. We'll dazzle and delight you with giant but gentle performing elephants. There'll be animals galore, and you'll find the world's funniest clowns at the Shrine Circus. It's non-stop entertainment, and it's for everybody at your house.
Don't miss the Osmond Shrine Circus coming Thursday, March 28th to the St. Paul Civic Center.
People say farming is a way of life. That's true. But a farm is a business, too. And to make it pay, you got to run it like a business. When it comes to finance, you better deal with the right people.
Agricultural finance. That's my business. My only business. Farmers come to the land bank and production credit for financial know-how. That's what they expect. That's what I give them.
A combination that works. You and the financial expert at your Federal Land Bank and Production Credit Associations. Both are part of Farm Credit Services.
The state of Minnesota is suing for fraud and negligence 51 corporate giants that installed asbestos in state buildings.
Dave, the $415 million lawsuit filed today alleges the companies knew the asbestos they installed was harmful to humans. But even before the litigation begins, the state has vowed to spend another $400 million to clean up the dangerous substance. Mike Walsh reports.
The pipes and tiling in numerous state-owned buildings contain asbestos, installed over several decades for its sound and fireproofing qualities. The suit claims that 51 out-of-state companies mined, supplied, and installed asbestos. They did so, the suit alleges, with full knowledge dating back to the 1930s that asbestos could hurt humans. The material is most dangerous when its fibers are stirred up during pipe repairs or removal. Nonetheless, Attorney General Skip Humphrey admits the state has no choice but to continue removing asbestos during the life of this lawsuit, which could be several years. He adds that public exposure to asbestos will be kept to a minimum.
I would say under the circumstance that we have today, it is not a danger, and we want to eliminate whatever hazards there are that might be there. What we are trying to do is to remove this hazard, and in accordance with the EPA standards, ultimately, when these buildings are either torn down or repaired or any major substantial change, there is a requirement that there be a removal at some time.
The suit names some corporate giants, including Union Carbide, Owens Corning Fiberglass, and Georgia Pacific Corporation, as defendants. None could be reached today for comment. The state of Minnesota has retained a Hastings law firm to help represent it in the case against the asbestos suppliers. That Hastings firm has some experience representing individuals who claim to have been injured by asbestos. I'm Mike Walsher, WCCO Television News at the Capitol in St. Paul.
A panel of nationally recognized experts has been named by the state health department to determine the significance of recent lung x-ray findings on the Iron Range. Unusual results may have shown up in about a third of 579 patients at several range clinics. Among the panelists are specially trained x-ray readers at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health in Washington and the Environmental Sciences Lab in New York. The panel will meet in Minnesota next month. Dave?
3 women have filed a class action suit alleging sexual harassment by a Hennepin Technical Center instructor. The plaintiffs accused David Baranek of a variety of sexually harassing behaviors, including physically rubbing against them, hugging them, and making suggestive remarks. They're seeking at least $500,000 for themselves in damages, plus another $1 million for the class they seek to represent, current and former female students in the Technical Center's dental technician program. Among the activities at the state capitol today, the House Judiciary Committee opened hearings on a resolution calling for a national constitutional convention to balance the federal budget. 32 other states have already passed similar resolutions. Only 2 more are needed to call a convention. Another House committee unanimously approved a bill to reform child abuse laws. The measure requires the speeding up of court proceedings in child abuse cases and requires a minimum jail term for convicted child abusers. The state Senate committee approved a bill that would allow the voters to decide whether Minnesota should have a state-operated lottery. A similar proposal has been voted down in the legislature for the last 3 years. Debbie?
Governor Perpich rode one of the newest products to come off of a Minnesota assembly line. That story from Rosa when we come back.
There's a new look at Ridgedale, a new look at fashion for spring, a colorful look, a comfortable look, a look that's you. A new look at the newest things for spring, for all the good times just around the corner. Take a new look at Ridgedale. Tomorrow's trends are here today, because if it's new, it's now at Ridgedale. A new look at Ridgedale.
You talked, and at W Light 103 FM, they listened. You said you enjoy a wide variety of music, including your favorite oldies. And 80% of you who listen to W Light said a lot of music is very important. Most of you who listen to KS 95 told us a lot of music is important to you, too. You don't have to say it twice. You want more music? Listen to W Light 103 FM. It's light rock and less talk.
What would it take to change the way you think about post-emergence corn herbicides? A herbicide that stops velvet leaf and your other major broadleaf weeds. A herbicide that stops worry about stalk brittleness, brace root damage, and vapor drift.
a herbicide that gives you a longer broadcast application window. The herbicide is Buctril. Ask your dealer about Buctril. It stops weeds, stops worry.
Excuse me, ma'am. What's the #1 reason you shop Rainbow Foods?
Low prices.
Are you sure it's not Rainbow's incredible fresh produce?
Low prices.
Are you sure it's not Rainbow's bright, fun superstore atmosphere?
Low prices.
How about Rainbow's many convenient locations?
Low prices.
There are many good reasons why people try Rainbow Foods, yet the #1 reason Rainbow becomes their regular store is still
low prices.
A four-wheel automatic transmission recreational vehicle known as an ATV spells a brighter future for Polaris Industries of Roseau, Minnesota.
At one time, Polaris manufactured only snowmobile, which of course was a seasonal product, and that shut down the factory for nearly 7 months a year. But today's inauguration of the first all-terrain vehicle at Polaris would appear to signal a new trend. Jim Newman reports.
The company expects to sell more than 20,000 ATVs the first year, but it will be mid-May before the assembly line is operating steadily. Already, however, Polaris's roster of year-round employees has jumped from 50 to 200.
We know it means less off-season work and fewer people having to leave this area.
Governor Perpich today toured the plant and took a demonstration spin on the four-wheel ATV. It will retail for $2,200. A three-wheel model will cost about $1,975. Perpich said the Polaris move into ATVs should help his campaign to attract the GM Saturn motor car plant to Minnesota.
This is a significant development because it demonstrates that Minnesota has a know-how to take on the Japanese in motor vehicle production.
Polaris will compete with the dominant Japanese manufacturers, but ATVs, unlike snowmobiles, sell anywhere and in any season, and employees who have suffered layoffs are celebrating.
I just think it's great.
Consumer demand could keep the Polaris assembly line rolling without a shutdown into 1986, and if the ATVs sell well, Polaris management cautiously predicts a full 12 months employment every year. With photographer Dick Nordling, Jim Newman, WCCO Television News, Roseau.
Fundraising and remodeling plans for the World Theater in St. Paul were unveiled today. The antiquated old theater, best known as the once and future home of public radio's Prairie Home Companion, will cost well over $1 million to renovate. The radio show's principal sponsor, Cargill, got the ball rolling today by donating $300,000 to Save the World. Until reconstruction is complete, the Prairie Home Companion may leave its temporary home at St. Paul's Orpheum Theater and possibly move to Chicago. No word on that yet. Debbie?
4 boys, none old enough to drive, stole a car in South Minneapolis early this morning, and when police spotted them, they fled. The car smashed through a fence at 28th Street and 14th Avenue, flew off a hillside and over some railroad tracks, and crashed on the other side. All 4 boys are in serious condition this evening at Hennepin County Medical Center. The oldest is 15, 2 others are 14, and the youngest only 12.
In the world of weather, we are, as they say, on a roll. Mike Fairbourne with the spring forecast in a moment.
Within each of us, there is a world where miracles happen every day. Blood coursing through 75,000 miles of pipeline. Nerves firing off messages at 250 miles per hour. 60 trillion cells working in perfect harmony. At MedCenter's health plan, we give the human body the care that a miracle deserves. And we never forget that it isn't just a human body, it's your human body.
Can we talk? Now, as you know, Easter is coming soon, and you'll probably have Easter eggs for your kid, which is fine, but I think you should know that what your kid really wants is one of these, an Easter bunny from Hardee's. You can get one at a special price when you get anything else at its regular price. A bunny is soft and cuddly. An egg is, well, need I say more? It's all here at Hardee's. I knew you'd understand.
Progrès Plus from Lancôme, a proven challenge to wrinkles, an achievement of the Lancôme science of skincare. Progrès Plus has the proven capacity to diminish wrinkles. When used daily, It creates a barrier to help offset signs of aging. Progrès Plus from Lancôme, Paris. Its promise comes true.
You'll find it at Dayton's.
May I have your attention for an important announcement? Recently, your Twin City Mazda dealers loaned 125 new Mazdas to the St. Patrick's Parade officials, and we're glad we could help. But now the cars and trucks are back, and although they were used less than a week and have less than 300 miles, they can't be sold as new. That means you may never find a better time to buy. But don't wait. We only had 125 of these courtesy cars and trucks. On sale now at your nearby Twin City Mazda dealers.
You know spring is here when the Minnesota River rises over the Bloomington Ferry Bridge, or threatens to. Officials close the bridge between Bloomington and Scott County today, just as they do about every time of year at this time. And with the change in key season comes the threat of the tornado.
And Dave, in preparation for tornado season, civil defense warning sirens will be sounded tomorrow between 1 and 2 in the afternoon. Remember, they signal only a test, but we're approaching tornado season.
We are. April, May, that's the time of year that we start seeing that activity build up again. Hopefully we'll be luckier this year and not see that.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, what can I say? A beautiful day again today, a little cooler. We had some high pressure pushed down, at least in the northeastern part of the state, dropped our temperature about 6 degrees down to 49 from our high yesterday of 55 degrees. And of course, no rainfall again as we remain dry. And it looks like our fair weather is going to continue for the next few days anyway. So get out and continue to enjoy this. The high pressure area is really affecting the Arrowhead area. We have a warm front out to the west, a large storm down to the south that's producing rain and thunderstorms throughout the Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi area. But that high pressure area, if you take a look at the temperatures from this afternoon, have dropped into the 30s. In fact, they did not get out of the low to mid 30s throughout the afternoon up in the Arrowhead area, 32 at International Falls, now down to 29 at Duluth, and we're 48. So that's quite a temperature drop. We're just going to kind of get brushed by the coldest air. And look at this air out to the southwest of us, still back up in the mid to upper 50s, and that's going to be heading our way tomorrow. Our satellite picture shows the huge spiraling band of clouds down to the south of us. That's that storm. The track is still well to the south and continuing to push to the east. It's going to get awfully wet throughout the southeastern states in the next couple of days, but those clouds come up to about the Iowa border and just stop right there. Some clouds up to the north of us. And further to the west, if we check the radar, you can see that there is some showers on the west coast. That's the leading edge of a Pacific front that's going to be moving into our area. May increase the clouds here over the weekend, but in the meantime it's going to just bring us some southerly winds and warm us right back up again. Heaviest rain still remaining well to the south of us. There's the front. By tomorrow, though, high pressure to the east is going to give us a south-southeasterly wind flow, and we're looking at temperatures right back up into the mid-50s. And the weekend looks like we are going to turn wet sometime over the weekend, but I'll tell you that on the extended here in just a second. High temperatures in the meantime are going to warm again into the mid-50s over the southern part of the state, 40s in the northern part of the state, and even an area of 60s out in the west, as we continue to have very, very mild weather even for this time of year. Clear right now, 46 degrees. Humidity is 37%, winds out of the east at 13 and 3020, and the barometer is holding steady. Our forecast clear, winds out of the east-southeast at 5 to 15, a low of around 28 tonight as the coolest air brushes us. Sunny and mild tomorrow, back up to 55 degrees with southeast winds. And Thursday night, clear and 33. Friday, it looks like we're going to be warm again, mostly sunny and mild, a high of 52. The extended forecast then brings us a little bit of a change. Partly cloudy skies on Saturday and Monday, but as we cool off at night into the 20s, there's a chance of some rain or some snow showers still on Sunday. We've been persistent with that. Whether it happens or not, we'll wait and see.
Just so that cool weather you're talking about just brushes us and doesn't work us over.
Affects Duluth.
So far, this spring training has been a pain in the neck for Twins pitcher Mike Smithson. We'll hear from him in a moment on Ralph Jon Fritz Sports Report.
When you ride a Snapper High-Vac, you get a little something extra. The power of a huge vacuum cleaner. Because Snapper's patented deck traps the air, creating a tremendous vacuum that stands grass up for a beautiful, clean-cut lawn. And Snapper's High-Vac makes bagging a snap. Get the incredible Snapper mower that makes a clean sweep of your lawn.
Receive a free work-setting attachment during Snapper Super Value Days, Lindale Garden Center, Minneapolis, Coast to Coast, Coon Rapids, Hanson's Mower Service, Red Wing.
They said we'd never make it, but we did. We bought our winery back from the big corporation and make Colony wine you'll say is outstanding. Wine that goes up against Paul Masson, Almonded, you name them. Have we succeeded? Tell us what you think. Try our wine and write to us here at Colony, Asti, California. We'll answer every letter. Colony is ours, but the most important opinion is yours.
Ah, you've hidden the rust. Or have you? Very clever. Brilliant. The makers of Duro Fix-It products salute all you ingenious people who devise temporary ways to camouflage rust. But now it's time to Duro it right. Duro Extend destroys rust and forms a coating that prevents new rust. Try Extend, Naval Jelly, or other Duro rust treatments. Come on, Duro it right.
Sports and chemical use don't mix. Sunday at 11:30, learn where today's teens stand and what programs there are to help.
When you see a star player drinking and getting away with it, you say, well, why?
Being a captain, I like to know that my team is giving their total concentration to the sport.
They're letting the team down, not just themselves.
The High School Yearbook Special, followed by a live call-in session beginning at 11:30 Sunday on Channel 4.
Spring training, of course, is a time for experimentation, and no real significance should be attached to any feelings therein. But now, we're moving down the home stretch.
I do have a few points to make here, Dave. Once again, late inning relief pitching failed the Twins today, and the Twins lost to Houston. That was a split squad from Houston, 6-3 in grapefruit play. And the three winning runs, were scored in the top of the ninth inning off Kurt Wardle. Ace reliever Ron Davis actually started the game to get some needed work, and Davis gave up only one run on 3 hits in 4 innings, so that's good news. Tom Brunansky continued his hot streak with another home run, and probably the most significant performance was put on by Mike Smithson. Now, it wasn't so much what he did in the game, but just the fact that Smithson threw 2 innings is noteworthy. It was his first action this spring. He said he felt some stiffness in the neck, but otherwise was just fine. Smithson's problem started back on May 27th when a line drive off the bat of Jim Gantner of Milwaukee hit the pitcher in the neck. Smithson told us about the injury complications.
They took x-rays this year when I went to the doctor, and definitely showed it. I got 2 vertebrae that's actually going the opposite way of what they're supposed to, and I've got sort of a pinched nerve in my neck, but we've been doing some therapy on it, and it's feeling a lot better. It really happened when I started throwing Friday. I was supposed to pitch on a Sunday, and I cut loose, and I guess that just sort of aggravated it again.
Mark Rosen will have more on the Mike Smithson story tonight on our 10 p.m. report. Yes, it is baseball in the Dome once again. The Twins won't be under the bubble until April 15th, but today, Golden Valley Lutheran College broke in the artificial surface for the season. This John Mayer single accounted for one of 9 third-inning runs against Rochester. The Royals are playing the first of 2 triple headers in the Dome. The boys state basketball champion in Class A and AA will be decided this weekend at the conclusion of the annual state tournament. That begins tomorrow with quarterfinals. Now, AA games will be at the St. Paul Civic Center. Up first will be second-rated North of Minneapolis against St. Thomas Academy, which upset Central of St. Paul in the regions. Duluth Central and Rochester John Marshall meet at 3. Then in the night shift, Bemidji and Jefferson tip off, followed by Wilmer and the defending champion White Bear Lake team, and that looks like a great matchup. Class A quarterfinals will be played at the Williams Arena tomorrow. Twin Valley will face top-rated De La Salle in Game 1. Cedar Mountain will take on Ceylon at 3 o'clock, and an old familiar face come tournament time, Winona Cotter will play Le Sueur at 7, followed by Glenwood and Greenway of Coleraine. Tournament semifinals and championship games will be held at the Civic Center. And while Illinois is still alive in the NCAA tournament, another Big Ten squad advanced to the NIT. Indiana, the Hoosiers, got their big game from their big man, Uwe Blop, last night. They beat Richmond 75-53. Blop scored 17 and grabbed 13 rebounds. While Blop rained down the hoop, Steve Alford's range from afar there was right on. The sophomore netted 14 for Indiana. Stu Robinson had 12, a well-balanced attack. So Indiana will now play Saturday in the NIT quarterfinals. The men's World Cup slalom ski title was captured today on the Park City, Utah slopes. Mark Giardelli of Luxembourg earned the slalom championship with a win today. With one more slalom race on the World Cup Tour, Giardelli has the slalom and the overall championships already under the belt.
Very good. That's it for tonight's 6 p.m. report.
But we'll see you tonight at 10. Have a good night.
Wheel of Fortune, a show the whole family can enjoy with puzzles to be solved by the young and young at heart.
Weeknights at 6:30 on Channel 4.
Pure cane sugar from Hawaii, sweetened by the sun. Island sugar, always pure, so be sure. C&H, pure cane sugar, pure and sweet from Hawaii. C&H, pure cane sugar, that's the one.
Come. Taste. Taste the legend. Red Baron frozen pizza. Savor a simpler, more elegant time when the ladies all danced and one Baron flew. It's still here, fresh, full of good things from the earth. Come. Taste. Taste the legend of the Red Baron.
T-minus 30 and counting.
Come on, Gene, light this candle.
Understand, Challenger.
What was that?
Relax, Chuck. Just cracking open a Pepsi.
You think you could talk me through that Pepsi?
That's a can do. Lifting slow and easy. Water beads keep daddling down the sides.
I can see them.
We have visual contact and pour. 3, 2, 1.
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.